Hello, my spooky children. It's me, Ghost Girl, and I'm here with you guys for another video. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be doing exactly what's in the title, and I'm doing this live because I'm still kind of traumatized by the way that I was treated by this person, and it would be too hard for me to go back through and edit it all. Also, I know this person still stalks my social media because he is obsessed with me. This person is a narcissist and he is extremely manipulative and he will do anything to get what he wants, including telling and spreading lies about me to other people. And I know he's been doing this because I've had people contact me telling me that he's been in contact with them and messaging them about me. And I've basically had to say that like all the stuff that he's saying like isn't true. I had to deal with a hate campaign as well from him and his friends because they were trolling me on social media, and I've blocked them all from commenting so they can't troll me or any of my spooky children because I've been made aware that they were trolling some of you guys as well, which is completely out of order. Like, trolling me for personal reasons is one thing, but to get like you guys involved is just ridiculous. Yous are just people looking in on this. You're not actually physically involved. So the fact that they went out and messaged some of my followers is ridiculous. But I'm just going to start from the beginning and then finish at the end. My computer's been a bit glitchy today. I'm not really sure what's going on. So if this kind of video turns out a bit weird, that's maybe why. I am saving up to get a new laptop. And no, I'm not doing a Cody that did all that stuff, like exposing Colleen just to get money to make a new computer. Like, that's not what I'm doing. The reason I'm doing all this is because after I split up with my ex, he basically was doing bad things to me, and I wanted to expose him for what he was because pity help the next woman who goes with him. I feel so sorry for her, whoever she may be. I think from what I heard, his last ex is planning to move away from her town because of him. I heard he had an ex that did move away from her town because of him. Apparently his ex before that went and moved to England. And then he had an ex before that went and moved to blooming France to get away from him. So yeah, he's one of those cycles where his exes are moving to countries and emigrating abroad just to get away from him. And part of the reason why I want to move to London is to get away from him and my ex-mate that that basically betrayed me. for him. And I'm going to get into all this. This is just a kind of thing to warn you guys into the situation so you realise how much of a psycho and a bad person this guy is. So, at the time that I met him, my gran had not long passed away, and I was grieving the loss of my gran, and my head wasn't exactly in the right place. Me and my mate, she had a brother, and his friend was having a party, and my ex was actually, it was his party that we went to. So we went to the party, the house. His house is absolutely minging, by the way. Like, all the doors and stuff are kicked in. There's like dust everywhere. Like, his house is vile. Like, it's been gutted out and fumigated. That's how minging it was. And I just didn't feel comfortable in that house. I just kind of sat in the most cleanest looking place, although there was like stains in the carpet that looked like had been there for years. They were like matted into the carpet, and it was absolutely gross. Need to charge my laptop. The battery in it is absolutely dire. Like, I swear to God. So yeah, it was disgusting. I remember going into the bathroom and there was like this seashell that had like dissolved into like this brown thing, and I remember saying to him, "Get rid of that, that's giving me the bulk, I'm gonna actually be sick." And I remember when we were dating, he showed me like videos of him like cleaning the house and stuff, but I don't know what the hell he was supposed to have cleaned because the house was still minging. He's got a cat, and I feel sorry for his cat, like living in that. Like, his animals need to live in that, and it's just vile. But yeah, I remember I kind of liked the way that he looked and stuff. But then after spending, like, he came over and started chatting to me. And then after, like, spending, like 10 minutes speaking to him, I got a really bad feeling in my chest. And I just didn't have a good gut feeling. And I decided I wasn't really interested in him. But all his mates came up to me and were like speaking to us, and were like saying that I should go out with him and stuff, and I didn't really want to. I just felt pressured into going out with him, and my head just wasn't at a good place at that time. And I've never been so pressured by like people in my friend group to like go out with someone like so much. And the thing is, they all know like about the exes and stuff. So it just shows you like they weren't my true friends and they weren't actually looking out for my well-being. They were just doing what he wanted because like, you know, he's like so manipulative. Apparently they all knew that he had a crush on me and blah blah blah. It's just so the manipulation and all that is just unreal. So eventually, out of pressure, I agreed to go on a date with him, although I didn't really want to. And then he wanted me to spend the night at his house. I didn't really want to do that either, but I felt forced to. Luckily, nothing happened. Like, I wouldn't have let anything happen. Like, no fucking way. So that was kind of how the first night I met him happened. Stayed the night at his house. Don't get me wrong, he was a good host. Cooked me a nice breakfast and all that when I got up. And then we went to like a river and all that. But I can't believe I let myself get pressured into doing something like that. Like if I'm ever in that situation next time, I'll listen to my instincts and not let my friends pressure me into doing something. But then again, I was still grieving the death of my gran at that moment. My gran had only passed away a few months prior, so I wasn't really in the right headspace to really be making decisions about anything at that moment in time. So we were only really together for like 3 weeks. But the 3 weeks were probably some of the worst 3 weeks like ever. Is probably one of the worst people that I've ever dated in my whole life, just because of his behaviour and his attitude and the way he acts. So he was actually a nightmare. Like things like him, he didn't have a job, so he just sat and played video games all day and never had any money to like do anything. And there was times where I kind of felt like I was flocking out like to help, and it's just like, I know it's 2023 and the guys shouldn't be obligated to pay for everything, but at the same time it was just like it was me that was spending most of the money on us. So yeah, it's not good. Not just that, he's a very boring person. Like there's nothing really interesting about him. Like, as you can see with the New York background, even though I've never been to New York, I do love traveling and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've got interests and hobbies that make me seem interesting, but all that he was into was like rave music and playing video games. Like that's him, full stop. And he's into Marvel and stuff, and I like Marvel too, but it's just like I couldn't talk about Marvel that was like Marvel and the music was like the only really things we had in common. And it's like I couldn't talk about Marvel and music all the time, like every time I seen them. Like that would just do my nut in. It's like I always want to talk about stuff like politics, culture, traveling, stuff like that. And all he wanted to talk about was like Marvel and video games, and it did my nothing. I remember one time he was going on about this big rant speech thing, going on about how video games saved his life and all that, and I'm just sitting there like, oh my god, this is actually quite pathetic. And then eventually I just remember zoning out because I just, well, just like, whoa, this is just, nah, this is too much. This is pathetic. This is quite immature, actually, and I don't actually see where this is going. And I remember actually zoning out because he was going on about some video game and I was bored. And then he noticed I was zoning out, and then he started getting all confrontational because I was zoning out because I wasn't listening to him talk about some stupid video game. And he knows that I don't play games, so it was just like, why are you talking about this to me? I don't play games. I'm not interested. Like, can we talk about something else? But then there was nothing else to talk about because that his whole life is video games. Like, that's it. And it's just like, it's quite a sad little man. And I remember where he used to kick up and get angry and stuff when he didn't get his way. Like, he did behave like a spoiled little boy. I remember one time we were in his room chatting and watching some stupid video game thing, and he was trying to get me into video games, and it wasn't happening. Like, I don't mind things like The Sims and Minecraft and stuff like that. I've even played World of Warcraft in my time, but I'm not a gamer. Like, that's just not who I am, and that's okay. Like, not everyone's into video games, and not everyone's into sitting in a house all day every day. Like, I couldn't think of anything worse than spending all day every day in a house, not going outside doing things. Like, I like to go out and do things. I can't just sit in a house all day. It does me nothing. Like, I always hate Christmas time because at Christmas time nothing's open and it's freezing cold and you end up spending a lot of time indoors, and it's just, I hate that time of year because of that. But to him, this is his life, just sitting inside playing video games, and I couldn't think of any a worse way to like live your life. Like, in 20, 30 years time, he's going to look back on his life and think, what did I do with my life other than play games? Nothing. And another thing, like, speaking to him, he doesn't seem to have any goals or ambitions or anything. Like, he doesn't have a job, and I said to him, like, what are your goals? What are your ambitions? Because I think to myself, he must have something that he wants in life. Like, everyone has dreams and has goals. And he's like, well, I've met most of my goals. And I said to him, well, what about finding a job? And he was like, oh, well, I've thought about it, but I'm not really sure. I'm just like, well, so basically this is going to be him for his life. And I just thought, nah, man, this is not something I could see long term. I think it's maybe for the best that the relationship ended when it did, because I couldn't have put up with him like long term. I think maybe after a few months I would have probably been fed up with him, because at some point I would have probably gone to London, because I go to London quite frequently because I've got a family there and I've got mates there. And I've got nothing going on in my life here, like my YouTube channel and stuff. I could still do that in London. Do you know what I mean? That can go anywhere, but I feel like in Stirling I've got nothing going for me. The place is a shithole. But yeah, eventually I would have ended up going to London, and I would have kind of been like, nah, I don't want to spend my life sitting in a house drinking or playing games and stuff. I want to go out and do things for my life, because I do. And eventually I probably would have ended up dumping them anyway. Because I want to go out and do things with my life. He doesn't seem to want that. Like, we're two completely different people, and I realise that now. Like, I'm very get up and go, and he's just very sloth-like and lazy. And our thing is, he seems to have like a serious drinking problem. Although if you're sitting about a house all day every day, then you would. So he's basically got a serious drinking problem, and every weekend he's wanting to go out, sit and drink in the house. And I remember one night he was like, "Oh, we'll crack a bottle of vodka." And I said to him, "No, I'm not really wanting to drink." He's like, "Why not?" I was like, "Because that's just me and you drinking in the house. That's boring. Like, I'm only 24. I want to go out." Do you know what I mean? And just to let you guys know, this guy is in his 30s, so he's very immature for his age as well. And like, he doesn't seem to understand, like, I'm a young woman, I want to go out and explore the world. Like, it's like mind couldn't cover that concept. And yeah, he was very abusive and manipulative towards me. I remember one time we were sitting in the room, and he wanted me to give him a PJ, and oh god, right, he was super hairy down there, and he refuses to shave. And it's just like, if you want a woman, especially women today of our hygiene standards, like, come on, man, just a little trim. It's just basic hygiene. But oh god, it was like a bloody fucking Moses' bush down there. Like, I swear to God, it's like a fucking jungle. And I said, no way. And then he got really angry, and he started kicking this door. And I remember hiding from him because I was like so scared. And there was a few situations that were similar to that like happened. And every date we were on, there was always something wrong. Like, always something wrong. Like, he'd always complain about something. And it was like dealing with a spoiled little boy that you could never please. Like, he is like a little boy. Now, I remember we were having a discussion with the our people in our friend group, and they wanted to go to Germany to go to this festival. And then he started kicking a fuss. He was like, oh, I'm not going on a plane, blah, blah, blah. And I was like to him, have you ever been on a plane? Do you even have a passport? He's like that, no. I was like, well, how do you know you've got a fear of flying if you've never been flying before? He's like, oh, we'll just get a ferry. I said to him, do you know how expensive the ferry is? Like, you probably couldn't afford to go to a ferry because you don't work. No offense, mate, but I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. Like, I think to myself, God, this is quite pathetic. Mourning about going on a plane. He's never even been on a plane. He doesn't even have a passport. He's never even left the country before. Yet he's got a fear of flying. Yeah, that totally makes sense. God, he's so pathetic. I think if there's anything else that happened during the time together, no, I don't think so. I think that's everything. But if I remember something else, I will tell you guys. But anyway, he basically broke up with me because I didn't want to sleep with him. He basically broke up with me because I didn't want to sleep with him. He wanted to sleep with me, but I said no. And I kind of wanted to go home after that. When I'd left to go and see my puppy was quite distressed, and I went on the date, and I didn't really want to go to any of the dates. And this is another thing about him, like, we were only been on one date, and then he went and told all his friends and not his mum and that about me, and told his mum that he had a girlfriend. And I thought to myself, what if I go on this one date and I never want to see you again? What the fuck are you going to tell your mum then? Oh, what an idiot. Anyway, so I remember telling him like that I was going to go home a bit earlier than the previous nights, although it shouldn't matter. I should be able to go home whenever I want. Like, that is ridiculous that he was wanting me to stay till 10:30 and I couldn't leave till 10:30. Like, if I want to leave at 9:30, I can leave at 9:30. Like, that's another thing. He was a complete control freak. Like, if I'd say certain words or do certain things, like, he'd tell me not to speak that way or do that things. He was even telling me how to dress. Like, if that is not controlling, then I don't know what is. But yeah, he was super controlling that way. And I remember saying to him, look, my puppy's not well. So I'm going to go home and look after my puppy because he's only a year old. Well, yeah, he would have only been a year old at the time, and he's not well. I shouldn't have even came on this date, is what I told him. But I know what you're like, and I know what you would have done if I didn't come. You would have kicked up a fuss, and then I would have had a million phone calls from all your little mates asking what the fuck was going on. So I said that to him, and then I remember getting the train home, and then he phoned me and saying that it was over. I was like, what? Because I wouldn't sleep with you, and because I went home to look after my 1-year-old sick puppy. You sick fuck. He's a sick fuck. He's selfish and he only cares about himself and his needs. He never cared about me or my needs and doesn't care about anyone else. He just cares about himself. Narcissist. He's a narcissist. He's a psycho and he's selfish. And you're probably wondering why I'm calling him a psycho. Well, we're getting to that. So after we split up, I was actually terrified because I know what he's like, and we had like the same friends, so it was fucking awkward to say the least. Then he phoned me like I was so terrified, like I completely like lost my voice and didn't, it's like I couldn't speak. And he apparently started talking to my mate. In fact, he was already talking to my mate while we were together. But yeah, I'll get into that. She was telling him about what was happening, and I was mad at her. I was like to her, why did you tell him talking to him about me? I was like, she's like, oh, but we're still all mates and that. I was like, no, I don't want to be his friend. And I was trying to get in contact with people from the group to say, look, can we hang out separately away from him? And it's like I couldn't get in contact with them. And when I did eventually get in contact with them, they made out that they were busy or whatever. I was like, busy? Busy doing what? None of yous work. What are yous busy doing? Do you know what I mean? It's quite pathetic. Like, all of them are extremely pathetic, like, when you think about it. Busy. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, so it was like we were all supposed to be going to this like rave together, and luckily that didn't pan out, and I'm relieved that didn't pan out because I felt like that would have been the night out from hell, especially if was trying to get with like my best mate from when we were together. We still try to get with her, like, honest to God. So he was flirting with my best. Well, she wasn't my best mate. I was her best mate, but she wasn't mine. It was one of those kind of awkward relationships. But yeah, he'd been flirting with her since me and him were dating. About 13th week into us dating, he started messaging her and was flirting with her. And I seen her in the town a couple of days ago, and she admitted that she was flirting with him. So I never spoke to her again after all this. Like, and she's wanting me to be a friend again and stuff, and I'm not doing it. I've blocked on everything, and she will remain blocked on everything. And I'm going to be making a video exposing her as well, because she's a terrible person and she's a slut too. But yeah, getting back to my ex. So all that was going on with the flirting, and that was stressing me out. Although at the time I didn't know she was flirting back. She just told me that he was doing the flirting. And I said to her, well, why don't you block him then, or stop talking to him? And she made up excuses about her brother and everything. But I thought, nah, you're just loving the attention. Because to be honest, by this point, she'd done that much to me. I was kind of just about done with her anyway. And I think what happened was like the final blow kind of thing. Yeah, so he was doing that, and we were all in like a group chat, and he was like in the group chat, like talking to everyone and manipulating everyone. And like it was almost like he was saying jump, and they were all asking like how high. Like, watching them like all in the group chat, it was like watching the puppet master manipulate his puppets, and he was basically doing all this stuff to kind of make my life hell, because after we split up, he became obsessed with me, and like for some reason he thinks that I've done something bad to him, and I haven't done anything to him, and it's weird because he split with me, not the other way around, so I don't get where all this psycho behaviour is coming from. But yeah, he was speaking to like my friends and basically playing like mind games with them and whatever. And he hang on, that's my phone. Sorry, that was my work coach. Sent me an email. So, and I kind of have to answer her emails or I won't get paid. Yeah, so what was I saying? Yeah, so that was happening, and it was just crazy. It was like being in like an episode of You or something. Like that's what this was like. Well, I felt like at the time, and it was just stressing me out like so much. My mental health declined rapidly because of this man, and yeah, so eventually what happened was I started, like Adam, posting YouTube videos about Colleen, although I know he only did that because of Cody, and I only did what I did because of my psycho ex, because he had everyone in my friendship group manipulated to the point where when I tried to explain to them what was going on, they wouldn't listen to me. And also, he was trying to split up me and my mates, and they weren't listening to me because they were so manipulated by him that they all thought I was crazy, and he made me out to be crazy, and actually I was right all along. I feel like I've been in many situations where everyone thinks I'm making stuff up or being crazy, and then I've been right all along. It's because I see things that other people don't, and I notice things that other people don't. And when I'm good at reading people, and I'm good at looking at people's behaviours and predicting how they will react or respond or what they'll do next just by watching how they act and behave and speak. Like, how do I say this? Like in front of me, like in the present, I look to see how they behave and act in the present to predict how they do it in behaviour. It's not, I know like I'm a psychic and a medium and all that, it's no like predictions, it's some kind of analysis that psychologists use that I can't remember the name of, but it's something to do with being able, like psychologists can like look at someone and they can kind of predict how they'll react to something based on their behaviour. It's quite a complex thing. If I decide to do like kind of videos like explaining this a little bit better, I will. But yeah, I knew he was being manipulative. So I posted a bunch of YouTube videos talking about it because you guys were the only ones that would listen. And I want to thank you guys for the support that you gave me during that time and the support that you've given me up till now and are currently giving me. Like, I wouldn't be able to still do this like without you guys. So I'm very grateful for that. And I'm very grateful for all the viewers that watch my content and continue to support me. So yeah, there's that. What else? Yeah, so he was stalking my social media and he found my videos talking and exposing him, and he sent his flying monkeys or mates, although they're basically his flying monkeys / minions, because if he tells them to do something, they will do it. They think they've got their own mind, and they make it. I know one guy that thinks he's this super intelligent guy, but clearly he's not that intelligent, because if he was, he would have figured him out by now. And I think I've seen a side to this man that maybe they haven't seen before, that he keeps hidden from them, because they make him out to be this nice, buoyant guy, and he's really not. I mean, talk about the manipulation, jeez, oh. So I'm laughing because I think it's the whole thing is just pathetic. But yeah, so what happened next was basically his minions sent a hate campaign against me and my spooky children online. Had to do a lot of blocking, a lot of reporting, and a lot of messaging and apologising to my spooky children. And I know I've not done nothing wrong, but I want to apologise on behalf of his pathetic childlike behaviour. Like, I swear to God, he's like a child, and it's not your guys' fault. You guys shouldn't have to suffer because you're watching my content. Like, that isn't fair. And he's just... I ended up not stop talking about him because he made me stop out of fear, because I was afraid like something, what else would happen after the campaign. Then my mate's birthday came up, and she invited all them lot, and I was working anyway, so I didn't go. And even if I did have time off, I wouldn't have went anyway. I'm just kind of annoyed that she invited all of them, because she knows that we all weren't on good terms. But anyway, she invited all them, and round about this time, her brother kind of told me that she was... In fact, no, wait a minute, it's a bit after that. Sorry, I'm getting lost again. So they went on a night out, and my ex was flirting with her and was getting all sexual with her and was like grinding on her and stuff. And she said, no, stop. And then she was trying to get away from him. Like, she actually ran away from him, like in the nightclub, which is just like, if a lassie's running away from a guy, that's not good. And it's the fact that he still repeatedly tried to get with her even after she was doing all that, is just, that is like, if that's not a red flag, I don't know what is. Like, danger, psycho approaching, like, fucking hell. Yeah, so I can't help but laugh because I'm making at this because it's just mental. It's so crazy that I can't help but laugh. But yeah, she kind of went up to another guy and was like saying to the guy, look, this guy's like really harassing me here. Can you like help me out? Like she went to her brother and that for help, and her brother didn't do anything. Like, her brother is an absolute arsehole, by the way, and you're going to find out more why that later. But yeah, it was her brother that was trolling me on social media, by the way, just to let you guys know. Her brother and a few other things, but yeah, her brother's an absolute arsehole. So the guy decided to help her out, which I must admit any decent guy would. And so he's like, oh, come on, just stick with me. So the two of them were just stuck together on the dance floor, hoping that my ex would back off. But no, he never. He started getting really angry and going psycho and went to attack the guy and had to get dragged out of the nightclub by a bouncer. And then one of my mates told me that he had a full-blown psychiatric meltdown outside of a pub where I live. And he said it was like watching like some sort of psycho out of a Batman film or something, like having like a complete psychotic breakdown. That's how he described it. And he didn't really know what to do, to be honest. If someone was having a psychotic breakdown in front of me and in front of a pub, I wouldn't really know what to do either. I think he went and got my mate and like was saying to him, look, I think he is having a complete psychotic breakdown outside the pub. I think we need to phone the police or an ambulance here because I'm not dealing with this. So she went outside, and I don't know why no one phoned the police or an ambulance or bloody someone to get him transported to the nearest mental health clinic, because that's what they should have done, and that's probably what I would have done in that situation. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, that's how he described it, like a pure psychotic breakdown. And I thought to myself, well, I wouldn't be putting up with that. Like, I would have, at this point, I would have probably been gone home at that point. I would have phoned an ambulance or the police and explained to them what would happen, wait for them to come and take them away, and then I would have went home. Like, no way. So she goes outside and she's got absolutely no common sense, by the way. Like, just to let you know, she's one of the most stupidest people like ever. And I know, and I'm not shaming people that maybe are not like the brightest bulb in the box. Like, I'm not intelligent shaming anyone. It's just she's a nightmare. When I make the video exposing her, you'll basically find out why she's a nightmare. Yeah, so she goes out and then he sees her and starts getting all aggressive with her. Why she never phoned the blooming police, I don't know. Like, seriously. Then he attacked her, and I thought to myself, why was no one on the phone to the police when this happened? The police should have been called. And then our mate had to pull him off her, and our brother is a fucking absolute cunt, by the way, took his side, the mate that attacked his sister, he took house side. Then for some reason, him and his mate started getting wide and square goes in and want to fight everyone in the taxi queue. And I'm just like, this is mental. Like, these three, like him and his pals are all need to see like psychiatrists. Like, that is not normal. Even on the night out when you're filled with alcohol and all this, that, whatever, that's just no normal. So yeah, I think they eventually left and then they walked like 10 miles home and never got a taxi, which I think is just mental. And then at the same time, no right for them. Like, yeah, just a bunch of psychos. So that happened, and she phoned me at like 5 a.m. and was like standing in front of my house. My mum was not happy about that. And then she told me everything that happened. Then I just phoned her a taxi home and sent her away, and then went back to bed. Then the next morning I had the day off, so I went. In fact, no, I was working, but I was working a later shift. And I spoke to her and found out like what was going on when she was like sober, and apparently they were all giving her dogs abuse, and she'd been kicked out the group basically, and my psycho ex had blocked her, which I'm happy about because we'll find out why. So after all that kicked down, her brother messaged me, and just remember, her brother's an absolute arsehole. And it wasn't even in a nice way. The way he messaged me was like so like aggressive. He was like, "Oh, you're wrong about him, by the way, because she was messaging him and she was flirting with him back." And then he sent me like a bunch of screenshots. I was like, "Oh, so now you tell me now that you have all fallen out and you are no pally anymore." I thought to myself, you fucking dick. You all made me out to be crazy, and actually I wasn't. And I thought to myself, what a cunt. And then I thought to myself, no, she's a bitch because she's been flirting with him when we were together, and she was still flirting with him until that moment. And that's why he'd been so the way he was. But then even at that, if a lassie says no, that means fucking no, you creep. Like, if a lassie's know what to dance for you, know what to be with you, like, fuck off. Leave her alone. Absolute creep. He is an absolute creep. But anyway, the lassie, I kind of was done with her, basically, at this point. Because she'd basically been having an affair, and basically my ex had cheated on me with her, so that was kind of the end of our friendship at that point. I've not spoken to her since because I cannot be bothered with her. I think she approached me in the town a few days ago when I was getting my prescription at the pharmacy, and she basically admitted that she was flirting with him, and I thought, why the fuck did you do that? And she said it was because he was giving me the attention that I needed. She was like saying to me that she was single and that she was lonely, and the guy that she's with isn't giving her what she needs. She thought, oh, and then when he started talking to me, I thought, well, this is great. I'm getting attention of somebody. And I turned around and I said to her, don't talk to me again, you absolute whore. Your attention whore. Like, you knew he was with me at the time, and you made me out to be crazy when all this was happening, and you were fucking flirting with him. I was like, you fucking evil bitch. And I'm not speaking to her anymore. After all that happened, I got a job as a caterer. And I'm not going to get into all the stuff that happened with the job, but basically, if some of you guys will remember when I posted my video talking about the job and how awful it was and how awful management were to work for, well, he was still stalking me on social media at this point, and he seen the video about me talking about it, and he sent it to my work, and I had to quit my job because of him. This man has completely destroyed my life. All my friends have turned against me because of him, and I lost my job because of him. And yeah, he is an evil psycho, and I know that he's not right in the head, and I pity the woman that goes with him next, because if this is what I went through in 3 weeks, what the hell is she gonna be going through? You know what I mean? Like, fucking hell. So yeah, that is the complicated mental craziness that I went through with him. And now that I've been through that, I'm just trying to hit the reset and focus on restarting my life. But something like this seems to happen to me like every 4 years. Like every 4 years, I feel like my life's having to reset because something crazy happens. It's like a 4-year cycle. But yeah, I'm gonna go now, guys, because I think that's me spoke about everything. If I remember anything, then I'll probably update you guys. But yeah, that's the situation with my psycho ex. I hope you've found this video interesting. It's certainly been interesting, me speaking about it. And the reason why I decided to speak about this was because seeing Adam talk about his past with Colleen kind of gave me the courage to speak about my ex and the way that he treated me. Because like Adam, I won't let fear overcome me, and I won't be silenced out of fear anymore. So you bet I'll exposing him. And I'll be exposing my ex-friend that did all the flirting and that too. That's coming out on Thursday. I'm going to be talking about her. So that's everything for me today, my spooky children. I hope you found this video interesting, because that's the only word I can think of that you might find this video. And I'll see you guys on Thursday. Goodbye.